OpenAI just delivered on something nobody expected. They've released their first state-of-the-art open-source models in over 5 years. And I'm not just talking about basic models here. These are GPT-OSS 120B and GPT-OSS 20B, models that are genuinely competing with their own paid offerings. Let me break down everything you need to know about why this changes everything. Hey everyone, I'm back with another deep dive, and yesterday, OpenAI dropped something massive. These aren't just open source models, they're open weight models, released under Apache 2.0 license, meaning you get the actual model weights to do whatever you want with them. Here's what makes this incredible. The GPT-OSS 120B achieves near parity with OpenAI's O4 Mini on core reasoning benchmarks while running efficiently on a single 80GB GPU. That means if you have a high-end Mac Studio with 96GB unified memory or a decent PC with dual GPUs, you can run OpenAI quality reasoning locally. The smaller GPT-OSS 20B delivers similar results to O3 Mini and can run on edge devices with just 16GB of memory. We're talking about running frontier-level AI on your laptop. One user on Hacker News confirmed they got the 20B model running locally on their MacBook Air M3 from last year. Both models use mixture of experts architecture, which is why they're so efficient. The 120B model has 117 billion total parameters, but only activates 5.1 billion parameters per token. The 20B model activates just 3.6 billion per token. This means once you load the model into memory, inference is incredibly fast. They support 128K context length, chain of thought reasoning, function calling, and tool use. And here's something unique. You can actually adjust the reasoning intensity. Set it low for quick answers. Crank it up for complex math and coding problems. Let me give you the real performance data that matters. And I'm going to explain what these numbers actually mean in practice. Starting with MMLU, which tests general knowledge, GPT-OSS 120B scores 90.0%. GPT-OSS 20B gets 85.3%. For comparison, this puts the 20B model in the top 10 globally, sitting right behind Gemini 2.5 Pro. This benchmark tests everything from elementary math to professional medicine. When you see 90% on MMLU, that means this model is answering graduate-level questions across dozens of subjects correctly 9 times out of 10. For programming competition results on Codeforces, GPT-OSS 120B with tools scores 2,622 points. GPT-OSS 20B with tools hits 2,516 points. To put this in perspective, Codeforces ratings work like chess ratings. A score above 2,400 puts you in the top 1% of competitive programmers worldwide. That 20B model is beating most human programmers on the planet, while running on consumer hardware. On AIM 2024, which tests advanced mathematics, the 20B model scored 96%. That's PhD-level mathematical reasoning running on your laptop. AIM tests are so difficult that scoring above 10 out of 15 qualifies you for the USA Mathematical Olympiad team. For medical diagnosis on HealthBench, GPT-OSS 120B scores 57.6%. For comparison, O3 gets 59.8%. We're talking about medical-grade AI you can run privately without sending patient data anywhere. This benchmark tests real medical reasoning, the kind doctors use for diagnosis and treatment planning. Here's what I think is really happening. OpenAI saw the incredible Chinese open source models like DeepSeek, R1, making waves, and they realized they needed to play in this space. But instead of just releasing decent models, they went nuclear. These are genuinely competitive with their own paid offerings. For enterprise organizations that need security and privacy, this is game-changing. You can now deploy OpenAI quality reasoning on your own infrastructure. No API calls, no data leaving your servers, no ongoing costs after the initial setup. The timing here is fascinating too. This release comes right as Chinese labs are proving you can build frontier-level models for a fraction of Silicon Valley's costs. OpenAI is essentially saying, anything you can do, we can do too, but with American infrastructure and backing. Against Meta's latest Llama releases, GPT-OSS brings that built-in chain-of-thought reasoning that Llama models don't have natively. The architectural approach is fundamentally different. GPT-OSS thinks through problems step by step before responding. Compared to Mistral's open models, GPT-OSS focuses more on reasoning depth than breadth of capabilities. What's remarkable is seeing a 20 billion parameter model with reasoning capabilities running locally on consumer hardware. And let me give you some practical advice. Download these models now. Even if you don't need them today, having state-of-the-art AI available offline could be incredibly valuable. Store them on external drives. Keep them ready. Think about the implications. Developers can now build AI applications without worrying about API rate limits or costs. Researchers can experiment with frontier-level reasoning without massive cloud bills. Companies can deploy powerful AI while keeping sensitive data completely internal. OpenAI did something interesting here. They didn't put direct supervision on the chain of thought reasoning. This means you can see the model's actual thinking process, but they recommend filtering it before showing users because it might contain hallucinations or harmful content. They also tested malicious fine-tuning scenarios and found that even with extensive attempts to make the models dangerous, they couldn't reach high capability levels for harmful tasks. That's reassuring for open-source deployment. The fact that OpenAI released these just before Anthropic's expected Claude 4.1 announcement tells us everything. We're in the most competitive AI moment in history, and everyone's scrambling to offer every possible deployment option. I'm planning a deep technical comparison with DeepSeek R1, testing these models on complex reasoning tasks, and showing you exactly how to run them locally. Next week, I'll be covering Claude 4.1 in detail, and I suspect the timing of these releases isn't coincidental. This represents a fundamental shift in OpenAI's strategy. After years of building walls around their technology, they're now betting that giving away powerful models will strengthen their ecosystem rather than cannibalize their business. The real question is whether this marks the beginning of a new phase where strategic open releases become table stakes rather than competitive advantages. Are we entering an era where the line between open and closed AI becomes much more nuanced? Have you downloaded them yet? What are you planning to build with local reasoning models? Let me know in the comments, and make sure you're subscribed because the next few months in AI are going to be absolutely wild. Until next time, keep pushing the boundaries of what's possible with AI.